Saw X, or Saw 10, is the 10th installment in the Saw franchise. Once again, executive produced by its original creators, James Wan and Lee Whannell. This was directed by Kevin Griutert, and I apologise if I said your surname wrong, who also directed Saw 6, Saw 7, aka Saw 3D, aka Saw the Final Chapter. But Griutert is more known as the editor for nearly all of the Saw films, including this one, but except Spiral from the Book of Saw, which was the previous film. This sees the return of Tobin Bell as John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, and this is set after the events of the first Saw film and before Saw 2. Which makes me wonder though, why couldn't this have been titled Saw 1.2 or Saw 1.5? Let's move on. Our story is about a sick and desperate John Kramer who travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental medical procedure in hopes of a miracle cure for his cancer, only to discover the entire operation is a scam to defraud the most vulnerable. Before I talk about Saw X, I'm just going to briefly discuss my opinions about the previous 9 films. Saw from 2004 is a pretty great independent horror mystery film. A chilling mystery with interesting characters and creative traps, and a clever twist that doesn't feel ridiculous. Then Saw 2 from 2005, I honestly don't really find that film to be great regarding the aspects I just spoke about in the first Saw film. Saw 3 from 2006 I have come to respect more and should have ended as a trilogy. Then Saw 4 from 2007 and Saw 5 from 2008. This is when things went completely nuts, when they wanted to focus more on the traps and the gore and less on the characters, and when something was revealed, it made no sense, and my reaction was always like, what? 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 That made no sense. Yeah, I am not a fan of either of them. Then Saw 6 from 2009 I have come to respect more, and I find the reason behind why everyone plays the game to be neat, and it makes sense. Saw 3D, the final chapter, is a complete mess. This is when they rushed everything and they didn't put any thought into the final piece of the puzzle and final parts of the mystery side with John Kramer and his associates. Jigsaw from 2017 was a complete cash grab, it was pointless, and Spiral from the Book of Saw from 2021 was so disappointing, and the reveal of the copycat killer was laughable. We got there. Now here we are with the 10th installment in the Saw franchise, and I was honestly surprised by this, which shocks me to say this, but this is honestly one of the better Saw films. The script does a great job of making John Kramer in Saw X for the first time to be the protagonist and not the antagonist. It shows the full perspective of Jigsaw. When seeing his struggle and pain of having brain cancer in Mexico, hoping he got the treatment and then getting paid back to those who scammed him. When he and Amanda, once again played by Shawnee Smith, kidnaps the victims, and then of course the game begins. It all pays off very well in the story, and you absolutely believe the conflict Kramer is going through and why he is hurt by these people. All of the victims were completely understandable and deserved to be in the game and going through these brutal and gory looking traps, and it all made sense. Also with the victims, the film does a fine job of showing their actual lives and jobs, particularly with the main person in charge of the scam. It makes it much more believable of who these people really are, and more understandable reasons of why they should be in the game. The traps themselves were pretty basic, obviously going back in the Saw timeline before it went nuts. They were nothing memorable, but not ridiculous, and you could take it all seriously to lead to the disturbing and gruesome consequences. Which, by the way, obviously this has been a Saw film, this is not for the faint of heart if you cannot handle and see a lot of blood. Tobin Bell returning as Jigsaw for the 9th time delivered an excellent performance. You can always tell, just like with the other 8 films, he delivers such an honest, serious performance, and he always shows so much effort. The believable pain that he is in, why he does what he does brutally and showing his honest rules and code. Everyone else did a fine job in the film, including Shawnee Smith, who returned as Amanda. As Kevin Gruytert is more of an editor, his editing I do find it mostly to be extreme and all over the place. But in Saw X, I thought it was more restrained, and it felt like how he edited the first Saw film. There were a couple times he showed his style, but it was bearable and fine. Saw X is a well-paced film. It takes its time to present the setup with Kramer's scammed cancer treatment, and then of course the game. But it all stretches very well, and it doesn't drag or rush the 120-minute duration, making this the longest in the Saw franchise. In terms of issues, I found some of the dialogue to be a bit cringe and over the top, and there was this one character named Carlos who is a child. Don't worry, I will be keeping the spoiler free. It's got nothing to do why he is in the film, because I think he's a pretty good character and he has some decent chemistry with John Kramer. But there is one scene when he gets himself endangered and involved with the game, and I just thought to myself, there is no way they're going to kill a kid off. It's 2023 and this is a big budget American Hollywood film. They never killed a child off in Saw 2 and they never did it in Saw 3. So I just found that bit to be annoying and predictable. But in the end, I found Saw X to be a surprise. It never felt ridiculous. It did a great job of focusing John Kramer as more as the main character, as a protagonist and less than an antagonist. The traps never felt over the top. They were going back to the basics, the reasons why the victims were in the game, and less on the traps. The hardcore Saw fans will be pleased, and this goes on the line as one of the better Saw films with 1, 3 and 6 in my opinion. Based on my Letterboxd rating, I'm going to give Saw X 4 stars out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please let me know your thoughts about the film in the comments below. And if you liked what you watched, feel free to subscribe and look out for more videos coming your way.